Don't get me wrong, marketing agencies are not the devil and they're not to be avoided at all costs. A bad one is the devil.
You can really get taken for a ride.
They tend to prey on business owner ignorance and or desperation.
When you are short on work, you'll do just about anything to bring something in.
Promising you, extra 100 leads.
All my expenses are, piling up. How am I going to pay wages?
It makes you believe even less in marketing.
Making it somebody else's responsibility in one fell swoop is definitely an attractive offer.
If you want to grow a successful business, marketing is absolutely critical. But unfortunately, their activity doesn't necessarily put money in your bank.
So imagine if you could print money in your backyard, how much would you print?
It's a real challenge as a business owner when you don't have enough work and the desperation kicks in and you know you need to get leads. And there is a tendency sometimes to use someone like a marketing agency who seems to promise the earth. Tune into this week's podcast where we go through the do's and don'ts of marketing agencies, which will avoid you getting taken to the cleaners. To the podcast, we've arrived. Profitable Tradie Podcast. Tony Fraser-Jones. Hey, don't cut in. I'm introducing here. Introductory.
You're introductory.
It's Tony Fraser-Jones, the host of the Profitable Tradie Podcast, with my co-host, Phil Smith.
G'day. How you going?
Hey, that's my question. I'm well.
Did that throw you?
It did, and yourself.
Oh, I'm very good. I'm always good.
Are you?
Always good. I'm better than good.
Are you?
Yeah, the old Zig Ziglar. Better than good.
Better than good. Any better, I'd be twins, mate.
Hey.
Anyway.
Well, I'm glad you're good.
There we are. What are we talking about today, mate?
We are talking about how to not get taken to the cleaners by a marketing agency.
Yep.
Yes. So
I've seen it happen a few times.
We've seen a lot of times. It's actually very close to my heart, this one, because we do see it with our members a lot, right? They're coming along, wanting to do some marketing. They really want to ramp up their lead flow and bring some more work in. Problem is, they don't know how. Marketing's a bit of a dark art for a lot of people. So what do? Well, they respond to one of the 200 emails in their inbox saying, hey, I can do your marketing for you. The problem is that a lot of these people are actually not that good, and you can really get taken for a ride.
Yes, because they tend to prey on business owner ignorance and or desperation.
Yes.
And there's a little bit of a power imbalance as well. There's like that expert phenomenon thing. You think someone's an expert, so you kind of defer to them and just take whatever they say as gospel. It's like when you go to the doctor, no one really argues with the doctor. Sometimes I think we should, but that's another whole story.
It's a whole can of worms.
Depending on what drugs they're peddling today.
Yep.
And you get these telemarketing calls by people with a, let's say, a funny accent from somewhere else in the world. Yep. And they're promising you, extra 100 leads or 100 jobs a month, no problem.
Yep.
And you're like, man, that sounds good. Let's give it a whirl.
Yeah, but it hits you right in the feels, doesn't it? Because, when you are short on work, you'll do just about anything to bring something in because you're starting to have all of the fear, right? Oh, shit, what am I going to do? I can't keep the guys busy. All my expenses are, piling up. How am I going to pay wages? All that kind of stuff is going through your head. And so that promise of, hey, I can fix this for you easy as, it's pretty alluring. And, making it somebody else's responsibility in one fell swoop is definitely an attractive offer.
Yes, well, if you're in the desert and you're dehydrated, you'll pay anything for water.
That's right, and that's kind of what it's like when you get offered by a marketing agency. I have a story to kick this one off.
Yeah, shall we switch things up and let Philly Bowl tell a story?
Yeah, I'm going to tell a story about a client called Leah. Leah and Mike, they were good clients of ours. And Leah actually had a friend who ran a marketing agency. And so, we were on a call and...
Friend?
Yeah, this good friend of hers. We were on a call and we were discussing, a bunch of things with their business. And one of the things that came up was they needed more lead flow. So, pipeline was looking pretty dry and they were getting worried. Everything we talked about before, the stress was mounting up, pressure was on. Leah and Mike, they think to themselves, we need to drum up some more leads. The problem is neither of us are any good at marketing. This is a complete dark art. I don't know anything about it. There's all the stuff on PT and, we could learn and we can upskill. But, we have this friend who actually runs a marketing agency and she's always been on at us. Hey, why don't you give me a try? I'm really good and I'll be able to, get some great results. And so they did. And they gave this friend a try. And I said to them first, I was like, Leah, look, before you get started, can you please just send me the proposal before you accept it? And before you give your friend any money, just let me know what she's actually going to be doing, like what strategies and, what action she'll take and how much it's going to cost. So Leah's like, look, she knows what she's doing, but fine, I'll send it through. So she sends it through, and I look at it, and like literally, it was oh my god, it was going to be $5,000 a month base before they do anything. Plus, all your spend to actually make that marketing go anywhere. To basically make a couple of Facebook posts and send an email, and the Facebook post and email that were going to go were basically like meet the team. Like it was nothing creative. There was no work getting pointy end marketing happening at all. And this friend had said, yeah, but I'm building your brand, which for me, I'm like, that's a bit of a joke. But anyway, the point is, long story short, this plan was crap. It had no teeth to it. It was never going to be able to bring in any work, and it was ridiculously overpriced. So needless to say, I said to Leah, please don't go ahead.
Keep that $5,000 in your pocket.
Yeah, and the rest. And hey, look, we'll work something else out. So we did.
Yeah, and that's not unusual. And there are a bunch of things that can go wrong if you use the marketing agency in a way that's not ideal. And I guess the first thing is that it's just a waste of money with no real results. And that's a big problem because lots of marketing agencies, they tend to want to be paid on activity.
Yes.
Not results. If you pay for activity, that's fine, but unfortunately their activity doesn't necessarily put money in your bank. So that can be a big problem. Your leads and your jobs problem just persists, so you're actually doubly worse off because you're shelling out money and your problem is still there. So your cash flow gets worse. Like it compounds, I guess, the cash flow problem. It's a double whammy. It makes you believe even less in marketing. And I think for a lot of the members that we've helped and a lot of the tradespeople that we've talked with is they don't know a lot about marketing, to be honest. It's not something you get taught when you do your apprenticeship or when you sign up to be a business owner. It's just, the marketing manual doesn't fall from the sky. And so you tend to be a little bit skeptical about it working. And this just reinforces your belief. And that's a real problem because if you want to grow a successful business, marketing is absolutely critical. And it's critical for good margins as well, because if you want to have great margins, you need to be able to advertise for more work so you can get rid of the low paying, annoying clients, the ones that are actually not making you much money. And we just tend to hold on to those because we don't have other ways of getting work.
If you look at the belief that we're talking about, their belief in marketing is that's exactly what these people are preying on too. Because, your lack of belief in marketing, basically you'll actually get marketed to by the marketing agency. And what they'll say in their marketing is, I bet you don't believe in marketing, basically, and that everything you've tried so far has been all a waste of time, and a lot of people that are snake oil salespeople. But basically, I'm not. I really can do
trust
this.
Me.
You can trust me. I'll sort this out, and I know you don't know what you're doing, but I know what I'm doing. So give me your money, and I'll do it for you. And it's just such an attractive offer because you're like, yeah, I don't believe in it. I do think it's it's all a bit of a hoopla. And I have been approached by all these snake oil salesmen. So you're right.
Yeah, you've lived my life. You're speaking my language.
That's it. And so then you jump at that, and that's exactly what they're preying on in the first place.
And so and all of that leads to a lot of anger and frustration. There's not a great feeling when you shell out money and don't get results, particularly when the money was the problem in the first place.
Yeah.
And also with agencies, the big risk, and this can happen, is that you become a number with them. If they're a large agency, you get sold by the A team, the salespeople who are pretty slick and talk a good game, and then you get delivered to by the B team, who are the low-skilled grunt workers. They're the people working on their team who are just sort of punching the numbers out and going through the motions. And so you're just a number, and you can sometimes, if you're not careful, with bigger agencies, just be a number and not feel like you're actually that important and get the service that you want and that you deserve.
Yeah, 100%. So on the other hand, can be some positives here.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Don't get me wrong. Marketing agencies are not the devil, and they're not to be avoided at all costs. A bad one is the devil, is to be avoided at all costs, but a good service provider, and there are plenty out there, marketing agencies who can do a great job for you. And so if you get onto a good one, look, you can get quicker results than you could yourself. You're actually leveraging people's knowledge and their skill. You have to pay for it, yes. But you'll get much quicker results. They should be able to hit the ground running quicker because they've got the experience. They've had years of learning, which they can bring to bear on your particular problem. and you're going to find it very difficult to copy that years of learning. So that's that. There's obviously the access to skills, that they have that you don't have. They've probably got graphics people and people, ad buyers and all that sort of stuff who can get all that stuff done that you'd have to do.
Well, you'd have to hire a bunch of different roles to have the same kind of capability.
Yeah.
Like, you probably don't need a full-time graphic designer or a full-time video editor and a full-time ads buyer, but the thing is you could pay for the marketing agency and you get a little bit of each one of their time, but that's all you need. So you're able to tap all those different wells in a much more professional way.
Yeah, exactly. You can build obviously get results, generate return on investment for your marketing, and be in the make with your marketing, and you also build a client base for the future. More clients now means more jobs in the future, more referral business. It's like a cumulative or a compounding effect as well. You'll make more money, and the thing that I think is really important, when you see it working, it's going to give you a lot of confidence. You're like, wow, this works. I can see that marketing really is spending money to make money. That's my definition of marketing. You're going to spend money to make money, and it's going to give you confidence to do that, because I can tell you 100%, you need to be good at marketing. You need to have a business that can market well if you want to have a great business.
Yeah, 100%. It's so crucial, and I think when you get that belief, that opens up a whole new world of possibilities for you, and
amazing.
Your goals overall just completely change, because you go from thinking this is what's possible to that bar just being 10 times higher, because you realize I can actually push a button to make this work.
Well, you realize that you're in control of your future, and this is it's really depowering and demotivating, and you feel like you're the bottom feeder when you don't have a way to get people interested in using your services.
100%.
Marketing gives you so much power and confidence. You're like, yeah, well, we can do stuff. We can make this grow, and I can hire someone else because I know I can get work, and I can hire another person because I know I can get work, and it works.
Yeah, 100%. So I think, long story short, marketing agencies can be really good or they can be really bad. So let's discuss some different ways about how to pick a good one and how to actually run this well.
Yeah, well, and there's probably a couple of things here. Again, it's like you've got to know how to pick them, and you've got to know how to work with them.
Yeah.
And I think the first thing is treat them like any employee. And I mean, like you'd treat a good employee.
Yeah.
You don't want to use and abuse them. That's probably not ideal. But if you have an employee, it's really important that there are clear expectations around how this is going to work.
Yeah.
And so you need really clear expectations with your marketing agency. What are they going to do? What are you going to do? How much are they going to do? What results do you expect from them? So, get really clear on the results that would define success for this role. So for an employee, you'd have key performance indicators,
And key performance activities. So that's the key, is you have expected results that you'd see from that employee, but you'd have expected activities that they would undertake day to day. So it's the same as expectations. What's the agency's output going to be? What are they going to deliver on? What do you have to do in order to actually make that work? And what results should you see as a result of those activities?
It is true, but even more so with the agency, you really are paying for results. So you want to be
100%.
crystal clear on the results that will define success that you are paying for.
Yeah.
That's important. And then communication is important because it may not work out perfectly at the start. That's actually quite likely. In fact, that's really point 2. Don't expect miracles overnight.
Oh, yeah.
Because they may be quick. Often they are, and they've got a lot of experience already. But there may be some tweaks that need to be made to suit your particular situation. So if it doesn't work in week 1, as long as it looks like it's heading in a good direction, make sure the communication's good. And if you get, 3 or 4 months down the track and it has been good and then things start to not work so much, you communicate about that, because things do change.
Yeah.
And so I think comms are very important. Just as they are with any employee, you need to be really clear on that with your marketing agency and set communication. So this is when we're going to get reports from them, and this is when we're going to meet to talk about. Have it locked in your calendar. Don't just sort of do it on an ad hoc basis. Make it, lock and load it so you know when it's going to happen.
Yeah. So for me, I think when you mention, don't expect miracles overnight, I think one thing to understand here for everybody is, if you think about the core principles of marketing, you think about the 3 M's, market, message, media. So, you choose your market. Who am I marketing to? You choose your message. This is what I'm going to say to that market. And you choose your media. This is where I'm going to put the message so that market will actually see it. The thing is that when we focus on the message, this is what I'm going to say, that needs to be really well tailored to your market. Right, so the copy that's written in particular needs to really resonate with the type of people you're talking to. So if you're marketing to homeowners, you need to use language that's going to be easy for homeowners to resonate with. If you're marketing to builders, general contractors, you will use a lot more technical jargon, and you'll talk about those frustrations and hassles that they would go through rather than a homeowner. The point is, this needs to be really dialed in. The more dialed in it is, the better the marketing, the more it's going to get results. Now, when you work with an agency, just remember that they don't have the same intimate knowledge of your client that you do.
Well, they generally won't, unless you get someone who's a specific niche expert, which can be a good way to go sometimes.
Can be. But as a general rule, most agencies won't have the same specific knowledge of your client that you do. And even if they are an industry expert, remember, if they're actually a really gun marketer, they may not have worked in the trades industry. They might work with the trades industry now, but they may not have worked in it before. So there's going to be varying levels of familiarity. So actually, when they work with you for a while, they're able to actually better familiarize and acclimatize to your market and to your niche, and the messaging will actually become better and better and better and more dialed in. So it won't be perfect on day one.
That's the thing. That's the point I'm really getting at, is that it should improve because you work together, and marketing is about testing and measuring.
Yeah.
And so that's what you want your agency to be doing for you, is testing and measuring different approaches, different copy, different ways they put their ads together, all that sort of stuff. That's what you're really paying for, because they should be able to do that at speed, much more than you can. They understand the principles of it. And so it should, ideally work relatively soon, but it should improve as well as you go on. So I think that's a point well made.
And it kind of leads us to probably the next point, which would be focus on results.
Yeah, focus on results. So as we said, pay for results, not activity. And there's a big risk, and this is where you should be careful with an agency. If they talk about all the likes that they got and the impressions and the shares and all that sort of stuff, I call those vanity metrics.
Yeah.
It's like golf. You drive for show and you putt for dough.
Yeah.
And so the game of golf is won in the putting.
Yeah.
And so it's the same with marketing. It's won in the results.
Yeah. Well, Dan Kennedy always says, no new metrics. There are no new metrics. No. When it comes to marketing, it's like you want to get leads, and those leads turn into sales. It's like that's really all that matters.
Yeah, so what you want to do is you want a clear chain of causation, like a criminal investigation. You can line up all the dots to see that this was what caused the crime to happen. So, which specific emails and calls resulted from which specific ads, and that chain of causation. So you want your marketing agency to be able to have a clear chain of causation and follow that, so you can attribute the work and the spend that you've had in them and the work that they've done to the jobs that you've got. And then you look at those jobs and you work out how much gross profit did I make off them. And gross profit is just the profit off the job. And then you compare that gross profit to the cost, and then you can get a return on investment.
Yeah.
And if that's positive, what do? You spend more money.
Yeah, well, because you are literally printing money.
You are printing money.
So imagine if you could print money in your backyard, like how much would you print? Well, as much as you did damn good, right? You'd print until you ran out of ink, and then you'd probably try to use the profit to pay for more ink. So it's kind of the same with marketing, right? Is once you realize that you're actually, making a positive return on your marketing spend in terms of profit, well, then how much can you spend? Because the more you spend, the more you make.
Well, you spend until you cannot deliver.
Right, so until you run out of capacity on the tools.
Start hiring.
Most of the time.
Yeah. So focus on results. Track the chain of causation from the work they do to the return on investment from that work. And if you do that, and if they can't do that, well, don't hire them.
Yeah.
And a good agency should be able to do that with this all sorts of ways you can track leads through dynamic landing pages and special phone numbers and stuff. Not going to go into the details, it's pretty boring, but your agency should be able to tell you where those leads come from. Or there are, I think we had Josh Moore talking about Google Ads. There's a little message that it plays when the phone gets answered about where that ad comes from, so you can jot that down.
Yeah.
So your responsibility is to track their results, so you can say, hey, this is what we've got. This is good. Let's do more of this. Or this is what we've got. It's not working. What are we going to do differently? And if they can't come up to scratch, that's when you're like, hey, guys, sorry, we need to go to divorce court.
Yeah, and just remember as well that on the one hand, you might be printing money, but on the other hand, you might be throwing it into the fire. So if you figure out that, you're spending $1,000 a month on marketing, and that marketing is actually losing you, $500 a month, then the hard part is you're going backwards. So you're literally throwing it on the fire. And this is where you can get sucked in by that same marketing company, and they say, yeah, but, we're getting your name out there, or yeah, but, this is really great for your brand. And I think you just need to be aware of that chain of causation, like you said, Tony, because once you've got that, you can track the profitability of that marketing spend. And if it's profitable, you're printing money, If it's not profitable, you could actually be burning it, and then you need to stop because, that whole I'm getting my name out there, it's like, that's fine. Let's do that in a way that brings in jobs.
Yeah, fine. That's fine if you're Apple or Coca-Cola and you've got a massive budget for that. So
that's it. But that's not going to be you if you're listening to this podcast.
The next thing is it's really critical that you don't abdicate responsibility for marketing. Now, this is a tough one, and I know it's tough because it's, we're all busy with jobs out in the field and pricing work and chasing invoices and figuring out projects and all that sort of stuff. I get that, or supplies, but the only way you can hold a marketing company accountable is if you know a little bit about marketing. So this is important. You need to understand enough so you can ask intelligent questions. And this might be tough to hear, but if you want to have a successful business, one of the prices of entry is to know a little bit about marketing so you can make some sensible decisions. And that's things like understanding the 3 M's of marketing. Who am I actually targeting?
Yeah.
What specific work am I looking for, rather than help, I need work, I don't care where it comes from. Because if you take that approach, who knows what's going to work?
It's just like if you think about people with a medical ailment, right? Like, yeah, sure, you might go to your general practitioner, your GP, but generally the GP's picking up rats and mice work as far as medical, procedures are going. Because if I've got a serious health problem with my heart, for example, I'm going to want to see, a heart specialist. I'm not going to want to go and just see my general practitioner if I can help it. So the thing is like if you want to pick up good work, you need to be speaking directly to people's problems. If you just say, I want more electrical work, well, how do they market to that? Because you trying to pick up new builds? Are you trying to pick up maintenance work? Are you aiming for homeowners? Are you aiming for schools? Are you looking for industrial? What do you mean? Because these are all very different people with very different problems that are going to be looking for electrical contractors in very different places. So that's just not specific enough. So you need to understand those 3 M's. Who am I marketing to?
Specifically.
Yes, specifically. Next thing that's the M is the message. So what am I saying to that person? Which again needs to be very specific, because the way I talk to a potential industrial client is not the way I speak to a homeowner, right? Like they have completely different language about the problems and solutions that they need.
And so you know what market is, what message it is, and then you can choose, how you get it in front of them.
Yeah,
that's
right.
What media. And now, for example, if you're chasing building contractors or general contractors, it's easy to get a list of those people. We can get that off the internet. You can buy the list. You can get someone to scrape a list and get some names. You can actually contact them directly with direct mail and sales strategies and follow them up. Well, there's no point using Google Ads to do that.
No, they're not Googling around for a new electrician.
It's not the right mechanism for that market.
But you just got to think about it logically as well. Like a building contractor, a general contractor, they're not sitting on Google trying to Google around for a new electrician.
They're not. But here's the thing. Lots of people who own contracting businesses, whether a plumber, an electrician, or whatever they are, painter, glazer, it doesn't really matter. They might go to a Google AdWords company and say, I need some more work. Who do you work with? Oh, builders. Oh, yeah, we can do some ads for that. Of course they're going to say that because it's work.
Well, and that's what they do. And they're actually not that aware that it wouldn't work for that niche.
Well, I'm not sure about that. Sometimes I just think they see someone coming.
Give them the benefit of the doubt.
But,
there's different ones, isn't there?
So the key message here is that take a little bit of time. You don't have to go get a degree in marketing at all, but you need to know how to ask some sensible questions so you can hold people account and just to see whether what they're doing actually makes sense.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, you're probably going to get taken for a ride.
And there are some really great and simple books that will help you to understand some of these principles. Magnetic Marketing by Dan Kennedy is very simple. It's an easy read, and it'll help you get your head around some of the basic strategies and just basic principles. So I think there's a lot of little ones that you
just
can pick up.
Listen to our podcasts.
That'll help.
Yeah, jump onto our YouTube channel, or I don't know, maybe you could get a coach.
Yeah, well, look, to be honest, it is a huge part of what we do, right? A lot of people come into us saying, hey, I need more work. And, they're getting approached by marketing agencies. The thing is like the marketing agency doesn't really know how to market for the work that they want. We do this every day. So, I think one way or another, there's all different levels. You can read a book, you can watch YouTube, you can listen to a podcast, you can do whatever, or you can get a coach. But I think, know what you're talking about, I think is the key.
Last one is, when you're going to get a marketing agency, go through a hiring process. You might take the first person who comes along. Well, that's fine. They may be good or they may not. But test them out. If you're hiring an employee, well, I know a lot of people do this. Let's be honest. They're like, I'm desperate. Someone turned up at the workshop and they had a great CV and they look pretty good. Man, I can't believe my luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, seldom luck. It's normally bad luck in that situation because they've, had 3 jobs in the last 6 months and they're looking for a new victim.
They are.
To employ them. But hiring a marketing agency, interview them, check them out.
Yeah.
Go through their case studies and get some references. Who can I talk to you who've used you? I'd love to get a bit of a feel for where you're at. You sound really good. And do some due diligence on them so you know that they come as advertised.
Yeah, I mean, this is huge. It's just like you said earlier, treat them like you would any employee. I mean, you wouldn't take on a new employee without interviewing them, right? Right, everybody, right? I hope you've listened to some of our other episodes, but my point is you wouldn't take on an employee without interviewing them, without, job testing them, without doing your background, your reference checks. Like, that's what you should be doing when you employ a new staff member or employee. It's just the same with a marketing agency. You do all those same checks, those same tests, same interviews, you go through your same, criteria and have things you're looking for. Don't just turn up and say, well, what have you got for me? Tell me more about what you do. It's like, well, what do you want them to do? Have a purpose.
Well, that's about being educated and understanding what you're looking for.
Exactly, right.
And knowing the right questions to ask is critical.
Yeah, and if you do all of that, you're going to do a better job of taking on someone who's a good fit, because that's another, potential thing is that you could go all the way through this process and you might not be talking to a bad agency. They might be great marketers. They just might be a terrible fit with you. And so that's also something you want to be looking for in that hiring kind of process with an agency. But
yeah, can you work with them? Do you like them? And who are you going to check out? Who you're going to be working with as well? Like if you talk to a salesperson, who am I actually going to work with, and I'm going to vibe with the person I'm going to work with is important.
Yeah, and what's the aftercare process like? Am I going to end up, do I get regular meetings with you? Is that part of the package? Do I have to pay extra for that? Like, are you going to send me reports? Like, how do we check in on this? It's like we said, you've got to have all of these same reports and be able to focus on that ROI, but like, are they going to provide that? Like, ask these questions up front during your hiring, and it's all just a lot clearer. At least you know what you're dealing with.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's land this plane.
Let's do it. So marketing agencies, like anything else, their effectiveness depends on your ability as a business owner. Now, if you're clued up and you know a little bit about marketing and ask the right questions, then you can hold them accountable and make sure they focus on results. If you're not sure about what's going on, you're likely to get tucked because they'll just have you paying for activity and not for results.
Totally.
Thanks heaps for listening. We'll catch you all again next time.
See ya.
Congratulations on being part of a select group of savvy business owners who are taking their businesses to the next level. And to help you on your journey, don't forget to check out our show notes for a copy of our free book, The Profitable Tradie, and other valuable resources. Thanks for being a part of this special group, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Profitable Tradie podcast.